Hey everybody, I'm Taylor OneShot, and this is Wrestling with Pride podcast, and today I am joined by wrestler and promoter Tim Kilgore. Tim, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. As I mentioned, my background is blurred, so that I don't have to clean off my table in the background, which is always good. We can be extremely organized and then never clean our house. That's how promoters and wrestlers roll.
I love that. I love that. And as someone who normally wears glasses, it's all blurred to me right now anyway, so it just works.
Great. Even better. It actually, because of your glasses, it blurs to the point where it's clear, so you're the only person who can see the background properly.
I can just vaguely make out the outlines. That is Tim, so this is working for me. Okay. Yes. Cool. So you are my third guest on Wrestling with Pride. I am the second host of the show. I just took over from Jenna Pride a month or so ago or whatever have you. But we're not talking about that. We're here today to talk about you as a wrestler and a promoter. Let's start at the origin. Let's start at the origin of Tim Kilgore. Where did you fall in love with professional wrestling? How did you kind of decide that you wanted to be a professional wrestler? And then later we'll talk about you as a promoter.
Yeah, I mean, I probably have a weird, different origin story than most pro wrestlers. So I was raised extremely religious. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. So you couldn't do any like extracurricular activities. You couldn't do any sports. Couldn't do anything like that. I don't know exactly when I kind of like fell in love with wrestling. I think I was like 4 or 5. The only reason I think that is because I was a huge fan of Rick Martel. Like that was my be all end all favorite wrestler. And he was champion of AWA around the time I was like 4 or 5. And I'm pretty sure that's what did it, where it was just, I was never the biggest guy. I was always, on the smaller side. I had asthma when I was a kid. I was super introverted. So having this guy who was, unintentionally introverted because, he spoke French. He didn't actually speak English very well, so he didn't cut promos, but he was really like a flipping flying. And I always had kind of a natural ability towards gymnastics. I think that's what made me kind of gravitate towards that. And then, growing up in a religious cult type situation, you're kind of bullied by adults really, as a child, because you're just forced into living a specific lifestyle that you don't necessarily agree with. You can't ask questions. You just always feel like you're being bullied. So having this, introverted guy who is, this flippy guy who is beating all these giant guys like, Jumbo Tsuruta and Nick Bockwinkel and Stan Hansen, for the most part, was kind of inspiring to me, since I was, trying to beat my own 40-year-old elders in the hall. So
that makes sense. So okay, so you have definitely some inspirations. I mean, I've had a lot of younger wrestlers on lately, but you have much more of a seasoned career, and obviously you're drawing from the Bockwinkles and the Martells and kind of that era a little bit before me in my time and stuff like that, which is awesome. When did you start training, and where did you start training, and what kind of made you decide like, hey, I'm going to do this? Like, was it just kind of that, as you said, like the upbringing, the wanting to fight the demons, the battles, to change something new? Where did you start training? When and what got you into big? Hey, I can do this.
Yeah, weird story. So back in the day, it was probably 99. Yeah, 99. So 1999. Dear God.
Right.
If you so it would kind of be like this. Imagine you're sitting in college, right? It was my second year of college. So other really weird story about me, the religion I grew up didn't allow you to go to college. So I was the first one in my church to go to college. I used like a loophole in order to be able to go. So because of that, I was kind of like ostracized, and I didn't really have anyone to talk to, and so on and so forth. And you can't really talk to anyone outside the religion. So I was really, really, really alone at the time. And I was in, what class was it? It was some kind of history class, Western Civ, something like that. And I'm sitting next to a guy who ended up wrestling as Chris Venom. And I was a goth kid. So I had big old dog collars with spikes and jet black hair, and I was kind of like a goth club kid. That's how I dressed. And for whatever reason, this like weird jock dude was like, "Oh, that guy's awesome. I can tell." And I looked over at his notebook, and it would kind of he was drawing the ECW logo, and like
Yeah.
in '99, you had to be a fan of wrestling to know what ECW was, right? It'd be like, for those in the audience who don't understand, it would be like if someone was drawing a GCW logo on their notepad, and you look over and you're like, "Oh my god, my people, my people!"
You have to be a serious wrestling fan to know
Yeah,
this.
yeah. So you have to, and had the barbed wire in the right place, which is even more shocking, right?
No
Um,
points.
so and at the time they had a ECW school I really wanted to go to, but it was in Philadelphia. I didn't even know where it was, and I had no idea what to do. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm actually training to be a wrestler." I'm like, "You're kidding me? I always wanted to be a wrestler." And it's a really funny story. So this is back in those days, wrestling was a little different. There weren't a whole lot of schools, right? There was Kilgrosky School that was in Malden. Kevin Landry had a school way out in Western Mass.
I
Kevin,
trained there briefly.
yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. So for those who don't know, Kevin Landry was, I want to say, like a job guy for WWE back in the day. Just
Yes.
massive jack dude. And he was D in WFA as well. So there was that school. Really around here, I think that was it. There may have been one in Providence somewhere, but it was Savannah Sousa used to train some people. So Savannah Sousa is like 1980 to 1982 All-Star Championship Wrestling WWF. If you watch that, you'll see him. He's from East Providence. But what it turned out is Chris Venom was training with this guy who went to Kowalski School and then dropped out. And we ended up learning wrestling. Like, I learned outside. Like, we didn't have a ring. I was just getting slammed and suplexed on the ground, which was awesome. That's always the best way to learn to bump. And then through that, we ended up, I don't know how, we ended up on some wrestling shows because that's how wrestling was hot. So there was wrestling shows everywhere and you could get on shows. So I got on a show. I think it was really Venom is just I'm not not as likable as he's just the most likable guy. Like, he's a puppy dog that everyone just loves. So he ended up on a show and got me on a show. And through him, we met this team called the Damned. The Damned was a tag team that wrestled in Pennsylvania and PWF for like Steve Carino and those types of guys. So they ended up running PWF in PWF Northeast. So we trained with them, and then we got really well known as their trainees, and then moved on to training with Bob Evans for quite say Bob used to train people in New Hampshire, and then he came to Rhode Island. He started training people there. That was like, I would say, our first class with the Damned, is myself, Chris Venom. I mean, Fandango, like Johnny Curtis would come sometimes. Ken Phoenix, who is Kenny Dykstra from the Spirit Squad, like he trained there as well. Trigger the OG, he was Triplicious back then. He trained there, and then when Bob Evans took over, when we went to Bob Evans, that was like Mike Bennett, Jaleel Patel, who is Paul Lombardi at the time. Pat Buck trained there for a while before he went to OVW. And then I went to OVW for a little while, failed miserably. I should say that I was, I went on my own dime. Like, I wasn't signed or anything. It was just one of those things I did like a seminar with Al Snow, and he was like, "You need to go down to OVW immediately." I'm like, "Oh, that's great. What does that mean?" I went down there immediately. Was down there for about 9 months. The day I went down there, my ex-wife told me she was pregnant. So I was like, well, I'm on a time limit here. And ended up coming back after about 9 months. And then, it's just wrestled for a little while, took some time off, came back to wrestling when it wasn't as, it wasn't as toxic as it was kind of when I started. It was not the best place when I started. But hey, better than a religious cult, right?
No, definitely. That's definitely a huge improvement. I mean, you mentioned some big names in there and some some great people as well. I mean, I've spent a fair amount of time with Brutal Bob Evans as well. He's a great guy. He's definitely somebody who's phenomenal to learn from. Just a sweetheart of a man. I've gotten the chance to wrestle Bob Evans. He's a great guy. But it must have been really cool too to be able to brush shoulders with all these different names and that time when kind of like wrestling was in that, like you said, shaky ground kind of sort of like WWF had just bought WCW kind of sort of that had just happened. It was the culture wasn't as clean as it is now. I mean, it's still not 100% as what we want it to be, but you know what I mean? It's cool that you kind of came up in that time when wrestling was shaky and changing up and you didn't really know what it was. And like you said, there wasn't as much access to schools and resources. The internet hadn't really popped up as much as what it was. So that must have been really amazing to been able to go to all these different places, to work with all these people who became all these different like big names and different levels of names and stuff like that. And just even kind of being a part of that like unique time in wrestling history is really cool. Okay, we got some stuff. So obviously Providence, Rhode Island is kind of like your base area, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So I grew up in, West Warwick, which is right near Providence. And then, I lived in New York City for a little while, but came back here for, it was basically just a job where I was there all the time. But yeah, I live near the beach in Warwick, so I don't want to move. It's
Awesome.
it's nice.
I don't blame you. It's a beautiful area.
Yeah. And Providence is a really cool city. It's it's called the creative capital. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening in Providence. Like there's a whole hardcore scene that's really, really big. The drag scene is wild here. There's a whole like burlesque scene happening. There's like a drum troupe that just randomly pops up places with like 20 drummers. We have this thing called the Pronk Festival, which is like marching bands, like 7 or 8 marching bands do a parade. And then there's like these people on stilts in monster costumes walking down. We have PVD Fest. There's a lot of art and stuff in Providence. So you think it wouldn't be that big because Providence isn't huge. Providence is kind of like one big, if you go in the main drag of like any kind of town, that's pretty much Providence. It's just a little bigger. But we have a lot of really cool stuff. So a lot of, interesting things happen around here, which is why I was thinking, when I was thinking about starting a wrestling promotion and looked at, just how saturated it was in the area. I thought Providence, like my stuff had to be in Providence. I couldn't just go to a VFW hall in,
Okay.
17 towns.
Slightly pause on that because that's a big subject. I want to get through first who Tim Kilgore is as a wrestler, and then we'll jump into the to what kind of like what you're doing more so nowadays. I know you're still working actively, correct?
I mean, somewhat. I really I got injured kind of like last year, so I took some time off. But yeah, I'm basically just getting. My plan is really I just need to be ready in case so many people cancel on my show that I have to jump into a match.
Totally.
So that's really my plan. Is like, if I would rather kind of stay behind the scenes because I'm that kind of control freak with various things. But
makes sense.
But I've had situations where I'm just like, I don't have the budget. I don't have the people. I'm going to have to jump in and do a match. So I just want to make sure that I'm ready.
Totally.
And it's how it is.
Awesome. So then, who would you say, or how would you describe, who Tim Kilgore was and is, and like, what was the kind of, what was the theme? What was the gimmick? Like, who were you at the ring? What were some of your inspirations in creating who you were and kind of like your wrestling style? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I completely changed. Completely, 100%. Well, I don't want to say 100% because I still do some of it. When I first started, I was like a Hardy Boy kind of, just with like, I basically took, Tajiri's kicks. I was a huge fan of Reckless Youth, so any of his chain wrestling, I messaged him and sent a matches. When I stopped wrestling, I'm like, hey man, just want to let you know, like, you were a huge inspiration. I stole so much stuff from you. And he's like, oh, that's a pleasure. And he sent me a message back. You're like, oh, I didn't know how much you stole from me. Like, you stole everything from me. So He's like, so I stole so much from him. Mike Quackenbush is another one. I stole a ridiculous amount from, like, submissions and stuff. And then I was always pretty good at doing flips and stuff. So when I first started, my finisher was a 450. So I was doing that. Broke my nose a bunch of times doing that, which is always good. Then moved on to do like Northern Lights Bomb 2K1 was kind of my finisher from there. Gimmick wise, I just had super long hair like you, except it was black most of the time. I did kind of like a rock star ish like gimmick type thing. I could never come up with a nickname. I was always trying different nicknames, like the Prodigal Son or like the Antisocial Anarchist or something like that. But
Word. And then what does that stuff even mean? Like most of the time, you know?
So the Antisocial Anarchist is kind of a funny story. I don't know what it is, but I have this thing with authority that I'm just like so like anti-authority. We went to this wrestling show in Connecticut one time, and we went to McDonald's afterwards, and we're just sitting there having, I can't remember what I had. I had some kind of like grilled chicken. I was always a grilled chicken person, and I was there with promoter JC, who runs NCW. Sorry for blowing its cover. But so we're hanging out with him, and cops just come into the McDonald's with their guns drawn, and go to say to me, they're like, "Hey, I need you to come over here, put your hands on the table. I need you to stand up, come over here, put your hands on the table." And I looked up and said, "No," and just kept eating. And then he repeated it, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So I walk over, and they're searching me, and I'm just making sarcastic comments the entire time. Where he's like, do you have any weapons on you? No, I don't have any weapons on me. I'm gonna ask you again, do you have any weapons on you? I'm like, I have a cell phone, guy. I remember, I think I was hanging out with Doug Summers, because he's the one who brought up, he's like, I can't believe you were talking. And so I'm getting searched by this cop, and it's like, do you have any weapons? No, I have a cell phone. He's like, that's not a weapon. I said something to the effect of like, well, I hear it gives you, I hear you can get cancer from it if you use it too often, that kind of stuff. And then I see both JC and Doug are like eyes fixed, like this big, looking in a different direction. I look, and there's two cops, guns drawn, like on me. And I'm just making sarcastic comments to them the entire time. And at the time I had a goatee, which is not a good fashion choice. But I'm like, what are you searching me for? There's like, someone was reported as having a knife. He had like pulled a knife on someone in the parking lot. And I'm like, you think I would just calmly sit down and eat McDonald's afterwards? Like, job done.
That's a psychopath.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. So anyway, that ends up happening, and I say like, hey, did the perp? I'm figuring, I'm like, it's some moron from high school that pulled a knife on his friend and then ran away. So I'm like, did the perp have facial hair? And the cop just face drops, because he didn't think to ask that. And I hear him ask on the radio. The radio says no, and he lets me go. But I was such an asshole to the cops that they followed my car all the way to the state line. Like,
they're looking for something at that point.
Yeah, so I basically, so that's where kind of like the antisocial anarchist came from. It's just from who I am as a person, where I'm just this really, if it's authority, I can't shut up either. Like, you don't know when to shut up. I don't know what it is. It's just been my history. So that's kind of where that came from. That's what I was. And then I stopped wrestling when I was 31, and then I came back when I was 38, because my friends kept dragging me to wrestling shows. I just kept bitching about how terrible it was. And they're like, Tim, you either need to shut up or you need to wrestle. And I'm like, my ego is big enough that I can get back in the ring. And I was really heavy at the time. I was 265 pounds, and I dropped down to 180 to come back to the ring. Trained really hard, got back in shape. And when I came back to wrestling, I'm like, everyone wrestles the way I did. Everyone. like the high
Now they're
impact,
biting off of you.
the running, the dives, the kicks especially. Everything's a kick. Like no one does wrestling moves. It's just, it's just strike, strike, slam, strike, slam, strike. And I started watching World of Sport Wrestling a lot when I was, kind of in my break, because I hated wrestling. I don't really like modern wrestling very much.
Okay.
Watching it and not, like, and I'm not saying this as a judgment, like modern wrestling's terrible. It's not terrible. It's, eat chocolate versus vanilla, right? Some people really like deathmatch wrestling. There's nothing wrong with deathmatch wrestling. Not my cup of tea. Same with like
Totally.
AEW's, not necessarily my cup of tea. It's just not the style of wrestling I enjoy.
Yeah. But
This
there's a
type of
flavor for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I enjoy World of Sport Wrestling. People would think that's like watching paint dry. I
Okay.
understand.
It's a lot of grapples and stuff, holds and
Holds,
maneuvers.
reversals. I'm just like
Yeah.
fascinated because when I started wrestling, no one did that style at all. Like I think Mike Quackenbush did a little bit, and when I did seminars with him, he would teach it a little bit, and I used some of it. But watching it and like analyzing the psychology behind it and stuff, I'm just like fascinated. So when I came back, I was like, you're never doing another kick again. You can do some stuff off the top rope if you have to, but your slam moves, like you're not doing any slams. Don't do any of that because everyone's doing that. That's how, like I did a brain buster for a while and everyone was like, I can't believe how great your brain buster is. I'm like, it's not that my brain buster is great. It's the fact that I don't do anything else like it the whole match. So when you see something like that, you're like, oh, it's over because you just killed them with that. So yeah, and when I was in OVW, kind of another story. When I was down there, no one was like a wrestler down there. Like no one was an indie wrestler that came. I think maybe Mike Cruel was. I'm pretty sure Mike Cruel was. But other than him, no one else was an actual wrestler. Like, oh God, his wrestling name was Jake Hagar before. What did he wrestle as in WWE? The All-American.
Jack Swagger, right?
Jack Swagger. Okay, he was Jake Hagar down there. He was like right out of college when he was there, and there was this guy. I don't remember his WWE name, but he was named Atlas DeBone. He was right out of football. There was a bunch of people down there. The only person I really knew when I went down there was Pat Buck. So he was wrestling there. So when I went down there, I was talking to this girl, Casey, I want to say. It was during like one of the TV tapings, and she was into theater, and I did theater in high school. We started talking about theater, and we started talking about like blocking and different musicals and all this other stuff. And I look around, and everyone's staring at us like we have 5 heads. And I was like, oh, that's something. So I came up with this idea down there to be. I didn't want to have a manager because that was the initial thing. So, like I went down there with a lot of experience, and this girl had like no experience. She had just started wrestling really. And I was like, well, I don't want to, having you as a manager, like it's been done before. It's boring. Right. And this was just to try to get onto OVW shows. They did a thing called Derby City Wrestling, something like that. That you had to do shows on before you would get on TV. And it was a big, I was down there right when they lost their developmental status. So I got to see all that, which was fun. But anyway, I told her, I'm like, look, I don't want to, I want you to come out with me if I'm wrestling. I'm going to come out with you if you're wrestling. But I really want us to just be a tag team because I don't think that's ever been done before. It's never had like a man and a woman or just a tag team. And we could be theater dorks. Like basically, I'm going to have a Wicked t-shirt. We're going to have our little plaques, like our little backstage passes, a giant picture of Donny Osmond we can hit people with. And her thing was she oversold everything because when you first start wrestling, you notice you oversell to compensate because you know it's just you're very experienced. Yeah, and it like played into
hopefully, or they don't do anything and they're just deadpan,
or they're just silent, which is even worse. But anyway, so it was playing into that. So I was like, cool, we'll be like theater dorks and we'll come out to Seasons of Love from Rent. So when I came back to wrestling, that was the other thing, as I noticed, is I was just like, yeah, everyone, no one's doing really like a gimmick. There's like CPA does like a gimmick, and like Danhausen. I was like, what else is there? Yeah, and I was doing Wrestle Party that had really wild gimmicks, and that's when I thought back to OVW, where I was like, oh yeah, there was a theater dork thing. Well, it has to be bigger, it has to be campier, it has to be weirder, and that's where I came up with the like Broadway actor, where I come out in full costume. My hair is always a different color. I have different face paint all the time. I've like whatever musical I'm doing, I'm in full costume, and
I love that.
That's kind of what, if I can give any advice to anyone wrestling, is really just like look around at what's around you and don't do that. Whatever it is.
I'm looking at a bunch of stuffed animals right now.
Oh no.
Don't do that.
That's my advice, is just, like if everyone is a high flyer on the show, don't do that. If everyone, if everyone has long hair and, is wearing biker shorts with kick pads, don't do that. If no one has entrance gear, don't do that. Just do the opposite. So that's kind of where the characters went. It went from like this antisocial. I was basically every indie guy right now, where it's like kind of like a cool nickname, came out in a t-shirt, tights, and did flips and kicks and all that other stuff. And when I came back, I was this wild, weird, over the top, campy character who did straight wrestling holds, more or less.
Cool. That shows the true evolution and like the amount of time that you've spent within wrestling, and just how many times you can potentially reinvent yourself. You can break the wheel. You can look around, like you said, at what everybody else is doing, and be like, no, I don't want to do that. They're doing what I was doing X amount of years ago, and I don't want to be that person anymore. I want to change. I want to grow and evolve and touch in on the things that are special about you and that really resonate in you. I mean, they say all the time, you hear over and over again, the best version of yourself is you cranked up to 12 or whatever, 11, and make that your gimmick, make that your character and who you are in the ring. It makes sense for you to be a theater type character, and I love even that concept, just being able to be like, hey, I'm Wicked, I'm Cats, I'm whatever other musical, I'm the producers. I don't know many musicals, I'm not that bitch. But I respect it, and I respect the just the endless well of creativity that's there potentially for you to draw from and change up from and to be different, because you don't see that a lot. You don't see that a lot. So that's awesome. And it's incredible to hear, like I said, just the decades that you've been through, the names and the shoulders that you've brushed into and stuff over your career. And is there any, since you have had a long body of work, are there any key moments or really big moments or career defining situations that have always stuck out to you? And like what are the accomplishments? What are the things that you're truly proud of in your career as a wrestler?
Yeah. So different goals that when I first started wrestling, I didn't, and this is kind of strange for people in my generation, especially, is I never wanted to go to WWF or WWE as it became. I wanted to be an ECW. Like that was my goal.
That was really cool.
Yeah, it was super cool. It was a cool atmosphere. And it was just like, WWF just didn't really do it for me, but ECW is my thing. So I had wrestled this show in, I want to say Worcester, and I teamed with, I had a tag team partner at the time who was, he did a lot of moves, and I was kind of like the bump guy, which has just always been my way. I'm just always the guy who's taking all the bumps and selling and, getting thrown around and stuff. And as we were walking back from the match, where I did 90% of the match and tagged him in for the hot tag, and then came back in to do a 450 because that was a cool move. And I was just like, so you've had those matches where you're just like, oh my God, all I did was just, it was a showcase for someone else. And you just kind of like, ugh, like, what am I even doing here?
I did an arm drag and I took the pin. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I did the opening. I did the opener. I used to always take really crazy bumps. That was another thing I was really famous for. Like I got hurricane rotted off a balcony. Sure. With one person down to catch me too. Like that's going to save me. we all think we're invincible when we're in our 20s. But anyway,
Are we
as we're
not?
walking, yeah, we are invincible.
I'm still
Um,
under the impression that we are.
yeah, right. Oh my god. So as we're walking to the curtain, this promoter stops him from like one of the, not a huge promotion, but like kind of a bigger promotion, and
Totally.
it's like, oh my god, you were so awesome. Here's my card. I want to book you on a show. And I'm just walking back. I'm like, I did 90% of that match, guy. Like, what the hell? And I'm starting to change, and this guy is in the locker room, and he says, "Oh, hey, you were in that last." He's like, "Hey, you were in that last match, right?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I promote shows and stuff." I'm like, "Oh, that's great. You're probably looking for my partner. He's actually on the other side." He's like, "Your partner sucks." It's like, "You
Yeah.
were awesome." And I was like, "Oh man, that's really awesome. Well, thanks. I appreciate it." He's like, "Look, I'm not booking shows right now. I just have my old card, but I'll give you my old card and then we can get in touch." He hands me his card. He was the guy who used to book ECW for the Worcester Armory.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, yeah, if EC, and this was, I don't know, not even a year after ECW closed. He was like,
Yeah.
if I was booking ECW at the Armory, I would be, you would be on that next show. And I was like, awesome. That
Feel great.
was one of my big goals. So I was like, all right, cool. Timing's a bitch. I wouldn't, but I would have been able to do like one ECW show. And then the other thing, well, I have to tell another story in order to get to that because it's funnier. I have two kids. My daughter is 18 now, and my son is 15. My daughter, when she was really young, I mean really young, which this is gonna make me sound like a terrible father, but it's a funny story, so whatever. She's like 4 or 5 or something like that, and we're watching TV, and one of the, like, someone says like, "Oh, the proudest moment in my life," and Madeline, my daughter's Madeline, she's like, "Oh, and the proudest moment of your life was when I was born, right, Dad?" I'm like, "Oh, sweetie, that's adorable." No, not even close. The proudest moment of my life was when Tito Santana told me that I reminded him of Rick Martel in the ring. And I was like, that's the greatest. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, we were in Vermont, and it was such a cool. He's like, "Oh yeah, you remind me of one of my partners." I'm like, "Ivan Putski?" Like, "No, Rick Martel." I'm like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
Like, I can die tomorrow and I would be a happy man. So yeah, I think those are kind of my two most proud moments from my early career. Before I retired, like, as wrestlers do. Before I stopped wrestling, one of the bigger things I did, like a last man standing match everyone talks about. Because like I went for a spear and had a move, and I went through the top and middle rope and head first into a wall. Like I went for like a second rope tope and just into the wall. There was XWA was like a kind of, I don't want to say famous, but it was kind of like that Thursday night throwdown was around for a while. I was on their second show, I want to say, in Bristol, and that's the one I got Hurricane Rana off a balcony on. So it's like kind of another moment I was really known for. It was that was a lot of that. And then when I came back, I did a match with Kellen Thomas, where I was teaming with him against I'm like, is it it's a Dirt City Murder Crew that everyone was talking about a lot, because it was just one of those, like, this, all this stuff together. That's kind of the one that I can think of. And then when CabaRestle started, it's just all the stuff that I do is just all moments where people are just like, "Oh my God, I remember when you did this thing and you did this other thing." So like every show is kind of another weird, silly, funny thing that I've done.
That's awesome, and this is the perfect segue moment too, as well. We've talked about the wrestling career. We've capped the start. We've got the middles, the beginnings, and we're getting into Tim as a wrestling promoter and CabaRestle. What like what made you decide that, like, hey, I want to start switching the gears and switching into a booker and promoter role? And where did you kind of come up with the concept for CabaRestle? And if you want to explain to our audience, most of which are probably familiar with Caba, but you never know who's listening or watching. So let us know about that, where you came up with the concept, and let us know about CabaRestle in general.
Yeah. So I stopped wrestling in 2011, right? Yeah, something like that, 2011. And I mean, really, I don't know if you've had this, and wrestlers might know what I'm talking about. You go to like a small town VFW hall, and you're just surrounded by people that you're like, I would never be in the same room with you people, like just ever. And people are like swearing at you and stuff like that, and you just like there were certain points where I just felt so uncool being a wrestler. Like I think I'm a fairly cool person. I play instruments. I do all sorts of I guess theater is cool. I don't know. Like I'm a creative person. I do a lot of weird different things, stuff like that. I think I have my finger on the pulse of what's cool. And there were just points where I just didn't feel cool doing it. So I stopped wrestling, and then there was this wrestling promotion called Wrestle Party. And initially I hated it because I thought I have this theory about wrestling where we're so in a bubble online that when I started in wrestling, we used to do inside jokes all the time. But they were inside jokes, right? Like we would do this specific spot in the matches, and it was just to make all the wrestlers laugh, right? And it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. It seems like people are doing inside jokes, but not for the wrestlers in the back to like make their friends laugh. They're doing inside jokes because it's like a reference to the independent fan. An example I can give is there was a guy on a wrestling show dressed as a gorilla in Kevin Nash's wrestling gear. And then he started walking and he held his quad, like he ripped it, like he's tore his quad.
And Kevin Nash, I believe his name was.
Sure. Yeah. Which is fine. Like I get it. I get the joke.
Yeah.
I'm 45. So like, obviously I get the Kevin Nash joke. I was watching wrestling back then, but a 10-year-old in the crowd is just gonna be like, what even is this?
A gorilla in a singlet, and he hurt his leg. Poor gorilla. Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah, and one of the things that started annoying me was I was seeing a lot of wrestling that seemed like it was wrestling is a joke and you're in on it. Like the crowd is in on it, like the invisible grenade, that kind of stuff. And I was just like, I'm fine with wrestling being fun and funny. Or at the time I was fine with it being fun and funny and all of that kind of stuff. But the idea that like the joke is on wrestling really bothered me at the time. Where the joke is the wrestling, because like, dude, I've broken my nose, I've had 9 concussions, I broke my orbital bone, I broke a piece of my shoulder blade off, I broke a piece of my tailbone off. I forget my kid's middle name sometimes. Is all because of wrestling. So the idea that it's just this, like, the joke is on wrestling was really bothering me. And there was this promotion called Wrestle Party that I thought was doing that. And I was really annoyed. And someone was like, well, you got to go to the show. And I went to the show, and I'm like, these are all people that I hang out with in the crowd. Yeah. And I was realizing, I'm like, oh, okay. Wrestling isn't the joke. It's just I'm here to have a good time. And I like campy, fun, weird things. And it can be silly. And I understand that it's a performance. So I can, it's, if I'm watching a comedy like if I'm watching Naked Gun, it's a parody. I get it. It's not making fun of, you can make fun of police or whatever, but it's not, it's not basically saying like, what is that Tom Green movie? Freddy Got Fingered, where Correct. the joke is the movie is bad. Like that's the joke. And that wasn't the case here. So the pandemic happened, and Wrestle Party was taking time off. And I was just going to be the finance guy with them. I was like, hey, you guys are really creative. I really like what you're doing. I just want to, I just want to help out and kind of like, I'll put money down. I don't mind losing some money on some shows. You guys handle all that kind of stuff. I just think we should do monthly. And then my only other thing that I was looking for is they used to do like a live band there that would play the entrances. And I thought that made it more difficult to use other bands. So I just said like, hey, let's kill that off. We'll just have a band. They get to play their own stuff. And, the wrestlers can come out to their own themes, but we can make sure, let's not get lazy and book the same band all the time. We can book different bands and it'll bring more people in. And they were
and stuff.
What is that?
You get to synergize with the band. You can bring their crowd in and kind of rotate that, and you're mixing
different
up
things, different types of bands. And I was like, oh, and you can do themes and stuff like that. And they were, they were basically both just kind of done with wrestling, which was fine. That happens. So that's when I started brainstorming. And what I really looked at was, one is I'm in and maybe this is advice for promoters. And, if anything I say helps promoters or people thinking about starting a wrestling promotion, awesome. But my background is in marketing, specifically like demographic models. Like I write statistical models and programming and stuff like that. So really what I was looking at is I'm in Providence. I'm in a saturated area. There are, at the time, 4 wrestling promotions that come in and out of Providence all the time, in and around Rhode Island. I can't do what they're doing. I got to do something different. How do I differentiate myself from that? I need to find a different crowd. How do I reach that crowd if I'm reaching that crowd? So I started looking at that. There's a promotion called Blow that's in Boston, in the Boston area. Okay. Blow is the best drawing promotion in New England. It may be Limitless is based on their most recent, because they're doing the big stadium. Yeah. But if you're not including that, Blow, like pun unintended, blows everyone away, right? They're drawing 500 or 600 people to every show. And they had like a drag performer or 2 on the show. So it was kind of like, it's like a wrestling, it's like a theater wrestling thing, but it's got drag featured on it. Which is cool. It's awesome. If you have a chance to go see Blow, go see Blow. It's different. It's very cool.
I would love to work for them even. I know some people who participate.
Yeah, they're amazing. All of that. I haven't met anyone from Blow who's not a tremendous person. So anyway, I'm looking in my area. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? And then I looked at the pain points in wrestling. What are the biggest pain points for me? What makes me not want to go to a show? Right. What are the pain points that stop other people from going to shows? And I just started asking people, why aren't you going to shows? If you're going to see a wrestling show, I don't like wrestling. I don't like, I don't like this. I don't like that. And really what it boiled down to, and I'm sorry, I know wrestling fans are going to watch this, and you can carve yourselves out and say, well, that's not me. But the biggest thing preventing a lot of people from coming to wrestling shows is actually wrestling fans.
WWE acknowledged that even.
Yeah, I would assume. So what I did is I tried to create a product that would systematically carve those people out. So the first thing was my pain point, which is I'm at a VFW hall and there's the townie in the corner getting drunk and yelling edgelord stuff at the ring. So I'm like, well, how do I get this dude to not come to a show? Yeah. How do I get them out of there? And that's where drag came into play. Whereas like, well, I already had that in mind because of Blow. And I was like, well, I'm going to put drag on the show because his friends aren't going to understand he's going to a wrestling show that has drag on it. As soon as they find out, they're going to be all over him. Like, oh, dude, what are you, gay, going to a drag show? And that, great, he's gone. He's out of here.
Yeah, whatever gets him gone.
Yeah, he's gone. Second pain point that I found is specifically women fans. And it's not, I don't know if you've had this. You may have. Have you encountered wrestling fans who only pay attention to the women wrestling matches and will take pictures and stuff?
Have I experienced this, Tim? Yes, you know who you're talking to.
Okay.
I'm a women's wrestler. It's a nuisance, but whatever they buy our shirts and shit. So
that's the general consensus that I get too, is like women wrestlers like, hey man, it's a necessary evil. I gotta, I'm gonna make $20 on a t-shirt. I'm gonna take a picture with this dude, or
selfies,
it's always a guy.
8x10s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every problem.
They might want to buy my gear down the road.
Oh yeah, selling the gear. What is it with the gear?
Don't want to know what they do with it.
Don't wash
it. Oh no, they specifically don't want you to. After your sweatiest, hardest worked match, please and thank you. Big bucks. Big bucks.
Great.
Greenback.
Cool. Oh god, it's
I don't sell my gear though. It's not for sale. Sorry, you got to pay extra. I care about the memories and the moments. I'm a historian of myself.
Sure. Yeah. Oh god, that's so much worse. But I talked to some women who went to wrestling shows and they were really off put by that, because they're seeing these guys take like close-up shots of like crotches together and all that, and then they would see these, like women wrestlers have to take pictures with these guys, and just like the death in their eyes of like, oh my god, I have to take a picture.
They can put their hands anywhere too, and it is disgusting.
Yeah, will you give me a hug? Like, no, dude, come on. No. Anyway, so I had to kind of take out of the box for that, and I was like, well, how do I get these people to not come to a show? Because like, I want everyone on my shows. I don't want to, just have men on the shows. And men wrestling is boring sometimes, sometimes. Just sometimes. And so I thought, I was like, well, let's do burlesque, because burlesque is kind of hot in the area anyway. There's like a burlesque school in the area called Bimbo Factory. It's really awesome. So I was like, well, if I do that, the atmosphere at a burlesque show, you can't take pictures like that. That's not, that you are immediately booted from it is understood. Everyone knows. You're not taking pictures, anything like that. If you want to take pictures at the beginning of the set, that's fine. But when they're disrobing, especially if you're a guy, you're not taking pictures. You're done. And those type of guys, every time I've talked to one of those guys, because I used to have a problem with that back in like the 2010s when I would see like Nikki Rocks. I used to have discussions with her about it, where I was like, yeah, and she's like, I don't care. They're going to buy my 8x10s or whatever. And I'm like, are they just saying that they think you're hot and that's why they want to take a picture? And she's like, no, if you ask any of them, all they say is like, oh no, I'm just a really big fan of women's wrestling. Like, I think women wrestlers are really good. And I'm like, dude, bullshit. Like, that's not
what did I do in the match?
Yeah. What was I really like the leg scissor that you did. Yeah, sure you did, of course. But when I was talking to them, they would just be like, oh, I just really like wrestling. Burlesque is overtly sexual. You have to come to terms with your sexuality. You have to. You have to just be like, yes, this is hot. This is, if you're into that. That is not. I think burlesque is a great performance, but it's not the thing that turns me on necessarily. But anyway,
but it's a good form of entertainment to have on your queer wrestling show.
It's so amazing and so artistic and so creative. Like, I love having it on the show. So that was the other thing, and then the last thing was like smart marks. Is like, I guess that was the term when I was younger, but I don't know if that's still the term. Cool. So women wrestling fans, if they like wrestling, have to deal with these like smart wrestling fans who will come up to them and basically like mansplain wrestling to them.
Yes. There's that classic meme. So this was Cactus Jack and he appeared later on as Dude Love. And then he came in. Yeah.
So how do I get that out of there? I'm like, I just can't have that much wrestling on the show. It can't be. I can't. Number one is no hipster cool person is going to a 4-hour show anyway. Like, no. Oh my God, no one is going to that. So like, don't make your shows too long anyway. But there's 17, 18 matches on some shows. They're 4 hours long.
There's one women's match.
There's one women's match. There's 17 matches. 4 of them are gauntlets.
Yes.
So 17 gauntlet matches, a Royal Rumble, and a 4-minute women's match.
Hell yeah. For a
So
championship. Only for a championship.
Always, it's got to be. So anyway, so that was my thought process behind that was like, I can't have smart marks at my crowd, because if they're in my crowd, they're gonna make women uncomfortable. They're gonna try like mansplain wrestling to women, and then on top of that, like they try to date. If you're a woman wrestling fan and like the guy's like a wrestling fan, like, well, I mean, we have this huge thing in common. And because my shows have drag and burlesque and has a band there, it's the best way for like a man to go up to him and be like, hey, so like wrestling, huh? This I don't know, who's like a big indie darling fan. I don't know. Spin Kicko Ninja. Like, have you seen Spin Kicko Ninja? Like, he's really good. And the girl can be like, dude, I'm just here to see the band. Like, hey, I just like Complete Destruction. They're amazing. End of conversation.
Totally. Plus, they're more likely to be there to date the other women anyway.
Yeah. And I don't. You've been on the platform show that you're at for that show, and I'm blanking on the other. It's like, all right, there was a platform show that you were on, and then what was the other show that you were on? You were on another one too. I can't remember.
Who, me?
Yes.
Okay, so similar-ish shows that I've been to are like Queer Punk Outlaws in New York City.
Well, so for CabaRestle, I know you were on the July show, which was at
Platform. Oh yeah, I've only been on one so far, Mister. I was booked for two. And I couldn't make one. I don't remember what happened to the other one.
It was a car
I've only been at one so far, Brendo.
All right, fair enough.
Me for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have more. So we're gonna have so many shows this year.
They don't know this yet, but
so many shows this year. Maybe even more. So many. But anyway, that platform show, when you walk around the crowd, you're like, yeah, these are all like queer women. Like,
yeah.
80% of it, you just walk around. None of the guys are going to be coming up to you and be like, hey, great match. Hey, can I have a picture with you? No one. Yeah. And that was the big thing that I noticed. New Year's Eve was another thing where, we had this big, like, kind of gauntlet type thing. And just everyone's walking around. They're like, yeah, no, it's just, everyone here is cool. Everyone's, I think we had 70% of the crowd was women at the New Year's Eve show. So it's just kind of creating that space. And, for me, it's really important to be inclusionary. Like, I'm queer. So, like, we represent all the queerness on our shows. So, that's where the idea kind of germed from. It was, I wanted to help with this other promotion. They weren't looking to do a thing. I looked at the pain points in my area. I can't compete with all these wrestling shows. So if I try to do another wrestling show, it's going to be, like, oh my God, not another wrestling show in Providence. Oh. So, if other people are zigging, you need to zag and identify the pain points in your area, right? If your area, Limitless is a really great example of doing the same thing, but like in a strict wrestling sense, where Maine had 15 wrestling promotions, but it was all just local wrestlers from Maine. And the owner of Limitless was like, well, I'm just going to bring up all these like different wrestlers from all over the country. And that's going to service this, like, it's a niche market, right? And sometimes, but I'm going to be able to do something completely different because they're all using local guys because the shows won't cost very much. And, it's in the same place every month. And I'm going to go this way. And, with me, everyone is either local or, they're bringing in wrestlers from everywhere. I can't do that. I can't compete with them. I'm going to shift the focus and do something else and do it as well as I can.
Oh yeah. So you took from a lot of different, I mean, when you use your analytic background and you kind of surveyed the environment, the landscape. You checked out what was already there, a need that needed to be filled. You were trying to get rid of certain toxic aspects of wrestling and things that you didn't like or enjoy as a fan, and just kind of drawing from some of your influences and just kind of like the queer society in general. And you came up with something in CabaRestle where you have cabaret, you have drag performers, you have bands, you have wrestling, and some of that wrestling isn't necessarily like that highly competitive, like wrestler, I'm Joe Wrestler versus Joe Wrestler, and let's go for the big one. It's fun, it's exciting, it's there's humor, there's also competitiveness as well, and you know what I mean, and you have that pure wrestling there as well. But you've managed to create a product that is engaging. You are captivating all the audiences. You are bringing in these niche different markets together, and you've created something that I think that you should be very proud of. Because I mean, I was at I wrestled on a CabaRestle show. It was the best wrestle. It was the best match environment that I had in all of 2025 was when I wrestled Davey Brooks. I really loved the crowd. They were so giving. They were so energetic. They loved everything that was going on, not just in my match, but just throughout the rest of the night. And it was this fun, positive, queer environment that's so unique to be around. And it is something that you should be proud of because you're drawing in big numbers. And then you see some other promotions kind of doing some of those things now. And I think it's awesome. I mean, obviously that I've done something adjacent with the Wrestling at Pride and Schenectady Pride with the Dynasty, where we had the drag queens, they had some singers and whatnot have you, slightly different format and platform. But I really think there's a lot of power in empowering the queer community and giving a different audience something that they didn't have before, and like offering a different alternative for queer fans, for, like you said, women, for just wrestling as a whole. And just, it's amazing that you've been able to provide these different art forms with a place to express themselves and to cross promote and cross expose and pollinate with the different markets. It's amazing. And I love what you're doing. And I guess this is a great way to kind of segue into an upcoming project that the two of us have collaborated on with CabaRestle, or through CabaRestle, which is Transgender Takeover on March 28th in Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah. It is the coolest venue. It's, oh my God. First, so I'm going to say too, something you probably will notice. All the cool things happen in the queer community first.
Totally.
Disco popped in the queer community first. Club Kids popped in the queer community first. You know, everything. As soon as a bachelorette party shows up at your event, just get the hell out of there. It's not cool anymore. But so this show, it's March 28th. It's going to be in Providence. It's at Medici Lounge, which is right behind Free Play, which is like an adult arcade.
Fun.
Drink. Medici Lounge is super nice. It's got a balcony, so it's going to look really, really cool on video. So one of our, I'll tell you kind of the genesis, I guess, of there are trans takeover shows everywhere, right? There's drag shows that do like a trans takeover where it'll be, like it's everyone on the show is trans, and there's, I think there's been a burlesque show once or twice, but it's mostly like drag shows that do trans takeovers. But I've never, when I was thinking about it, I didn't even know if there were enough people to put it together, enough performers. And then connecting with you, where I was like, hey, can we get 5 matches worth of trans wrestling? You're like, oh yes, of course. I have an entire
group chat of them. There's about 50 of us or so actively currently right now, and we're all spread out through the country, and we're finally together.
Yeah, you're like, there's plenty. And I connected with this a drag performer, Bray Edwards, similar. They were running a trans takeover show, so I connected with them, and I was just like, hey, who are the transgender drag performers who are the best in the area? Would you be able to book them? So like, I kind of, like, look, I'm a white cis dude. This isn't my wheelhouse. So I was relying on you to kind of, how do you, like, who are the people to book? Because, I want to rely on, a trans person who's going to be able to do that. Same with the drag performers, Bray Edwards. Hey, if I'm booking a trans takeover show, who do you want me to book? Because that's what you do. Great. Here's all the suggestions. Awesome.
Oh yeah.
Similar burlesque. I knew someone in Connecticut that's a burlesque performer, as a trans burlesque performer. It's like, hey, I need another, would you do the show? Also, who else would come do the show? And then we had a band that did a show at Dark Lady. That's a trans band. And I was like, well, this is great. I'll just, like them I can book for sure. Reached out to get a host that's also trans as well. And I mean, it really boils down to the reason why I thought this was, important to do. One is I don't think it's ever been done before, at least to this scale, right? Where there's this many trans performers. But CabaRestle became kind of the coming out party for a lot of trans folks in Providence. The first show that we ever had. Daisy. Yeah, for sure. Our first show, Daisy was booked on the show, and Daisy was like, I don't know if I can do the show. I've never been in an environment like this, and it makes me realize that I think I'm trans. And I'm like, I was literally wearing a Protect Trans Kids shirt at the time. I'm like, if there's anyone you could tell this to that it would work out, this is great. The next show we did at Free Play, another two people came up to me and they said, this is such a great environment. This is the first time I've ever come out just dressed the way I want to dress, and came out as trans the first time dressing as the gender they identify in public. And then that happened the next 4 shows where someone came up and said, this was the first show. This is the first show I've ever been. This was the platform show. There were 3 people there. It was their first time coming out dressed as the gender they identify in public.
The question, who are we going to convert next? Who is coming out at Transgender Takeover? Will it be Tim? Who knows?
Yeah, no, who knows? Who knows? I mean, I would like to use this Twin Transform, so we'll see.
To let you know, I am actually transgender. Woo.
Oh yeah, it's the
doozy.
It's the
shot.
Yeah, yes. Well, I think I more identify as like I don't. Yeah, they're like, oh, you have this plumbing, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I don't. It doesn't really matter. Like, cool. Hey, you're this. Like, great, fine. But yeah, I think it is one of the things that we do with CabaRestle is we do a lot of themes, right? So we did like a Saturday morning cartoons theme where everyone came in pajamas, and it was just this weird, like everyone did cartoon things. And then we did an avant-garde theme where one of our burlesque dancers was in like a full green suit with a mask and did this like crazy routine with like a 5-foot tongue hanging out. And so we're doing a lot of themes, but this was with being Trans Takeover, I just thought it was, it's too important that's not a theme. I thought the theme would just be trans excellence. We're seeing the best.
It's amazing.
Best performers. The band is just one of the best bands in Providence. They're amazing. The burlesque dancers, I'm like, I should grab my little Excel sheet so I can go over.
We should grab that Excel sheet because I want to talk more about Transgender Takeover. I mean, when you came to me with the idea that it was something that you wanted to do, it was a perfect storm for me, because this is something that I had been talking about for the last 2 years at least, especially with my friend Layla James. We've been like, how do we get it? Where can we make this happen? Where can we? I don't own a ring. I'm not the money bitch. I don't have those resources. I'm just a trans wrestler who's trying to empower other trans women and try to make wrestling a safer place for trans people in general, and provide opportunities for myself as well. So when you hit me with that, it was just like such a perfect time and such a perfect moment, and just kind of being able to get all these different people, these different performers to collaborate with you, to throw the names together, to do some research on some of these people, to get to know them better. It's like, for me, Transgender Takeover is WrestleMania. You see everybody right now trying to be like, oh, hey, I'm going to be in Las Vegas. I'm going to be in Las Vegas. I'm like, bitch, yo, I'm going to be in Providence, Rhode Island on March 28th. And this is the biggest event of the year for me. This is the biggest event of the year for a lot of people. I think that we're going to create a lot of buzz. We have 2 months, give or take, to kind of lead up towards this. I'm excited as fuck. I'm pumped. Do you want to kind of talk about some of the names, some of the talent, some of do you want to kind of go over the card a little bit? You want to reveal some details?
I'm happy to reveal almost anything. I mean, there are a couple things still in flux, as you know, because we discuss it all the time, right? I'm gonna say, get the tickets there. Like it's a big venue. There's a lot. We can fit a lot of people there, but like I've never gotten so many messages about a show ever.
Hell yeah!
And it's been, like I'll get probably 10, 15 messages before a show just asking like, hey, I see that the flyer says that it starts at, or like the ad says that it starts at 8. Is that is that actual time or gay time? I'm like, it's no,
gay time is later. Yeah.
No. I want to go to bed.
That's how you out yourself as a straight.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, it's really funny. People get there right when the show is starting. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it's starting. I'm like, yeah, it said it starts at 8. What do you want? Yeah, that's what we do. We are punctual here. But yeah, and so that's the type of message that I normally get. Or really funny, today I got a message from someone saying, like, hey, I'm going to be in Worcester. It's my friend's 60th birthday, and I want to take him to a CabaRestle show. And I'm like, sweetie, this is not the show to take a 60-year-old to. Like, it's 21 plus and it's a raucous crowd. Like, it's super hip. If your friend is willing to do body shots on someone, this is the show for them for their birthday. But yeah, this is the biggest show where I've gotten messages being like, oh my God, this is everyone is trans. I'm like, yeah, I'm not even. I got a stage manager that is trans that's gonna like do the stage managing for it. So like, I'm just there to enjoy the show. I'm not even, I might, I will run around like an anxiety-ridden person like I normally do, but like I'm not very involved in the show because like I'm a cis dude. Right. But yeah, I mean we have for drag, I'd mentioned Bray Edwards. There's a Cliffhanger who's a drag king that does a lot of really interesting things. They're involved in theater. Banana Nicole is amazing. They did a performance at this show once that I was crying during, which I am a Tupperware container inside of a larger Tupperware container normally. So that was really unique for me. Ricky Mortis is probably one of the, like in New England, probably one of the best in New England for drag kings. And Nitty Nothing has been probably the most famous drag queen in Providence for like 10 years now. Easily. And they're going to be on the show. For burlesque, there's Mia Easy Lay, who's from Connecticut, who's amazing, and Harmony Valkyrie, also from Connecticut. They're amazing. The band is called Ghosts in the Snow. They're kind of like a prog rock band in a way. It's like they're hard to explain because they're kind of like an alternative band, but like their music's too complicated to be just an alternative band, and they're amazing. They're on Bandcamp. If you look them up, you'll buy all of their stuff. They're great. For wrestlers, dear Lord. For wrestlers, dear God.
We have a who's of up and coming and current stars in trans wrestling for sure.
I can't believe the number of people when as the stars were aligning, I was just like, holy shit, this show is going to be just the most ridiculous thing. Obviously you're on the show and you're going to be defending the transgender championship. So big main event.
I don't have that right here is ready to go.
Oh my God. You got it. You got to have it right there.
No, I had to stumble around for it.
Understood. So you have, you're going to be defending Daisy Brooks, who we mentioned, who's a local wrestler, who's really great. Blow that I mentioned earlier, we're going to have some representatives from there because they're also a very trans forward group, and I thought it's a good representation to have. So we're going to have Abby Race and Rat King are going to be on the show. They are amazing. You had mentioned Layla James, so Layla James is going to be on the show. With
We announced it already on the channel. We have Rosalind Grimm and Brittany Blair versus Brianna Bands and Nikki Winters in a tag match.
Yep, and they're from the
Queer Punk
T2T.
Outlaw, T2T.
Yeah. We're also Kid Bandit and Noah Vale are going to be on the show.
Yep.
And
there's two huge names in queer and trans wrestling in general. I mean, Noah Vale is killing it out of Florida. One of the best representatives that we have across the country. Kid Bandit, as a lot of people are going to know that as one of the more like poppy kind of names. Yeah. I mean, she's everywhere and anywhere, and I believe this is one of her last few matches before she has to step away for a little bit. That's not my life. That's not my story to tell. Right. But it's going to be hype that we get one of her last few matches for quite some time there.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think Vivian Cross is the other one, and then we have a couple different people that we're looking into getting possibly. I have a comedian. What was that?
Who knows how big they might be?
Who knows? Well, that's something with CabaRestle too that I've done a lot. Is another, I guess, promoter trick or something like that is like, look, man, people are either going to come to your show, they're not going to come to your show, right? In this case here, it's a trans takeover show. They know what they're getting into. We're going to have representatives from the Queer Trans Project there. So they're a nonprofit that helps people in areas that can't get trans care for free. And then the New England trans community is going to be there. Youth Pride said that they're going to send a representative there. So what I'm trying to do is basically the second someone walks in there at a trans takeover show, I'm hoping that it is trans people, because we are in the worst timeline that's ever existed. I don't know what the hell is happening. Let's get everyone connected together. Community is king. So
Queen in this case.
Yeah, Queen, King, Queen,
whatever
King,
you identify as.
whatever you identify as, Prince, Princess. But the community is really important right now. Everyone needs to be connected. So these are resources for everyone that are going to be able to meet. Providence Tourism Board is going to be there as well, which can point it. Providence is like #1 queer safe city in the country right now, I want to say. Medici Lounge is around the corner from Ego, which is the young queer bar. So if you're a young trans person who would like to dance, the show is probably going to be over around 10 o'clock, and that's when Ego opens. So if you would like to dance the night away after checking out a trans show, party afterwards, everyone can party. Yeah. But there are also 4 other gay bars within walking distance of this venue.
God.
They're all around. You are surrounded. You are in the gayborhood, as they say. It's actually, I'm sorry, the gayborhood is on the other side of town. This is called the Fruit Loop.
Ooh.
We're in dead center of the Fruit Loop.
Yes.
So yeah, it's going to be wild. It's going to be a lot of fun. Lots of people connecting there. But people are going to come to your show. They're not going to come to your show, whether they want to see it or not. Why not give them something extra, right? Why not? You don't have to announce everything. Our show at Free Play that we did, it was our second show. We sold out. We had like about 200 people there, just under 200 people. It was all we could fit in the building.
Just on proof of concept.
Yeah. The New Year's Eve show was like that, where we were afraid that the fire department was going to be called. So like, if they're called, we're shut down. Like they will not. I think that's going to happen here, because everyone waits till the last minute, and we've already sold just a truly ludicrous amount of tickets for something this early. I think it's going to sell out. I think it's going to be amazing. But there's going to be surprises. There's going to be lots of cool, fun things happening on the show. You're going to get to meet the best trans performers in all of these different artistic aspects. I think it's going to blow people's minds. I think personally.
I really think that it's going to be a big wrestling story, a big trans story. I think that this is a situation where we have a chance to do something just incredibly positive and especially in a time that trans people truly need it. Like you said, it is kind of like the broken timeline that we're going through right now. And especially like we are the fall guy, we are the scapegoat in every situation right now. And it is truly scary times to be a trans person and to exist right now. So to have this beacon of hope and this great resource, this great opportunity, this place that people can go to, they can get entertainment, they can get resources, they can get community, they can get so many positive things that we truly need right now. I really think that this is going to be something bigger than ourselves and something that I think like I'm already incredibly proud to be a part of this. I'm proud to be on any and every level of this show, and I'm so happy to be able to collaborate with this with you and to give so many opportunities to so many great deserving people who deserve a chance to be highlighted, deserve a chance to be seen, to be recognized, and to get the eyes on them. And I really think that we're going to get a lot of major eyes on us for this show. Like you said, we sold so many tickets already. We're going to have to maybe turn people away at the door. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll let you in. Who knows? Like you said, queer people are outlaws. You know what I mean? We're punk as fuck. We don't give a shit, and that's kind of the culture in the community. I'm truly blessed to be a part of this. I really think it's going to be, to me, it's WrestleMania. Like I said, I can't state that enough. It's going to be the biggest show. I could go on and wrestle for AEW later this year, and I still feel like this would be the greatest thing that I've done all year, and something that I'm going to be proud of for the rest of my life. And I really can't thank you enough for just helping with this and creating this moment.
It's so something promoters need to learn is gratitude, because a lot of promoters are like, hey, I'm putting on the show for you guys. Like I'm sure you've heard that kind of stuff. Like, you know, oh, I'm putting the show on. I can't put on a show unless people want to be on the show. Yeah. So the amount of gratitude I have for people like yourself being able to, you know, me saying, look, it certainly seems like, at least on my audience's side, you know, we are a queer company. By like the first show we had, someone told me the show couldn't be more gay if I was getting hit in the face with a pride flag. So like we are extremely queer, but you know, the representative, I would say, trans community is very represented on the show. This isn't a gimmick either. I know that's another thing. Like pride shows, all of a sudden you have 5 queer wrestlers on a pride show, and then never see them again. Yeah. I've had trans representation on pretty much every show I've had so far. I have queer wrestlers on every show. My show is a pride show, every show.
All year round. And this isn't in June.
It's Queer Joy. That was our theme last year, was Queer Joy. Our theme this year is Win in the End. Whenever I finish that song, I had to record a song for it, so I'm just finishing it up. But so I feel I'm truly blessed that I can reach out to people and say, hey, I have this idea. I think it's going to service the community. I think it's going to service the fans that come to our show. I think it's going to service the performers that are willing to do this. Are you willing to do it? And then to have you step up and say, not only am I willing to do it, I'm willing to help you get people on the show. I'm willing to book these people and contact them. Having like Bray Edwards or like Ricky Mortis being like, oh my God, I need to be on this show. This is going to be such a cool show. Oh, yeah. And no one basically being like, everyone understanding that it's not, you know, it's not a gimmick. It's not just a money grab. It's really in service of the performers and the community and the fans, of giving people.
You've had me on CabaRestle before. You have been a place that has allowed and featured the Transgender Championship and helped build and grow the legacy for that. And it's not just in June. I mean, we are synergizing with Transgender Day of Visibility. It's kind of right around there in March, which is really great and positive. It totally fits perfectly for the theme, for the takeover. This is our time. This is now. As I've said to other guests before, like, we are truly in a unique place in wrestling and in trans history within wrestling, is that, like, when I grew up, when the people who I'm wrestling against kind of grew up, the people in our group chat, we never had trans wrestlers to look at until we were adults, and now we have we can look at the generation that was before us with the Nylas and the Mariah Moranos and the Broken Roxys and such and so forth. But we had those later on in lives when we were already adults, and right now we're doing something and creating history where young queer people, maybe they're 18, 19, 20, maybe they're younger, maybe they're my age even, which I'm not going to name. But we're inspiring people, and eventually we'll have these situations where we sit down and these people will be able to name drop us and the people who are on this show. And we're also doing something really unique. And then I'm truly proud of it, because a lot of times, and I mean nothing by this, but when you ask people who their favorite queer wrestlers are, who their favorite trans wrestlers, there are kind of the names that you always expect to see over and over and over again. And those are kind of the only names that people know and that they see. And I'm incredibly proud that we're going to be able to feature so many up and coming, strong, powerful, and dominating across the industry trans women and trans people that people aren't as familiar with. And I think that this is going to be a great platform to finally have some of these names break through to that next level, to that next point where people are like, they start naming dropping us more and more, because it does kind of become a little cliche on, like I said, people ask, oh, who's your favorite trans wrestler? Who's your favorite? And I love all the names that get mentioned, and I love to celebrate those names, but it has been some of those same names for too long. And I really see this as a stepping up moment for this current crop, this current generation, and this current wave of just bitches who deserve to get recognized. And that's the people that I wanted to pull up on the show. I'm getting a little emotional because I care about this a lot, and I really want us to get a chance to be featured and to be seen. And wow, I didn't think I was going to get this. Thank you for allowing this to happen, because it means a lot to me, and it is my life mission.
Well, everyone's going to watch this podcast. They're just going to be like, all they did was thank each other for like 10 minutes. Just so I can't do it without you.
We're anti-establishment, anti-authoritarianism, and authority figures, but we are courteous bitches who thank each other.
We're very curious. Yeah. Well, it's just, attitude of gratitude, right? So I couldn't do it without the people helping me, especially this show. You just can't. I understand the representation. But the plus side is CabaRestle has the reputation behind it where everyone is, I know this isn't a gimmick. No one's getting taken advantage of. This is going to be Woodstock for, this is going to be the Woodstock for trans performers. Everyone needs to get their ass there. Providence is a cool ass city. Come to Providence, eat pizza Marvin, have amazing cocktails.
The Clear Loop, the Fruit Loop.
Do the Fruit Loop. The Fruit Loop's great. Maybe avoid the Eagle back room if you're squeamish. I went to the Eagle the other night and didn't realize the bathroom was on the other side in the back room. So I was a little shocked when I saw it. I've seen things.
Oh no!
But yeah, this show's gonna be wild. I can't thank you enough for doing it and helping me put this together. Kind of put it together. Or I should say, I just really organized people to organize the show for me. And we're working on the ad campaign right now. It's going to be hopefully everywhere. We're going to sell this fucker out. Yes. It's going to be insane.
Maybe a fun, exciting. I mean, we already have the flyer out, but maybe one where we got the talent on it popping up sometime soon. I don't know if I told you this or not, but I want to document this. I want to get like a film person or something to be there to just record not just the matches, but the moments in between, and maybe some of the backstage and stuff, and just maybe make a production out of it. We're gay folk. We love everything. Has to be a production. It has to be extra.
Just like where's Tim? Tim is at the bar drinking Diet Cokes the entire time. Operation Twink Transform. So unfortunately, no alcohol at the moment. But I think it's gonna be amazing. And not to pitch this over and over again. But yeah, I mean we do have other shows. That's going to be one of our biggest shows. We're going to have a show in February that's also going to be really great in Worcester. If someone's, I don't know where the podcast comes from, but where it's Worcester is a pretty rocking queer town, and we're gonna
like
have
the hardcore shows there.
there's a lot of really cool. There's a where. Well, I don't want to say shush because it doesn't matter. We're going to announce all of our shows in the next week or so. I'm just finalizing one other show, and another side quest type thing. But we're going to be there. I have a whole. I'll tell you about it later. It's insane. It's going to be insane. Also another weird promoter thing. I keep telling people I'm the worst businessman that's ever existed, because my goal is to get people to come to the shows. And I'm trying to figure out ways to make all the shows free so that just people can come. But as have you experienced, I pay everyone in full. So I want to make sure that people are getting paid. It's not one of those things where I'm just saying hey guys, I want to play promoter. Who's willing to work shows for free?
I had to assure people, and you already had name recognition amongst a lot of the folks who were there, and some of them have worked for you before, or they know about you and stuff like that. But I very much assured the workers, this is not going to be a Wrestle Queerdom situation. This is not going to be playing promoter. This is not going to be, not to knock or toss stones on anything that happened there, but you're a man of your word. A person of your word, and I very much advocated for you as someone who's worked and wrestled for you before. Again, we were not just patting each other on the back and high-fiving each other or whatever like that, but I just want to I really went out of my way to assure, not that anybody was questioning too much or anything like that, nobody was, but I really wanted to advocate and vouch for you and stuff like that, because you've been someone who I love working with, I love collaborating with, and like I said, that CabaRestle 2025 against Daisy Brooks was a highlight of my year, if not the highlight of my year. It was just such a great experience. It's such a great moment. To so many times you go around and people are shouting nasty things. You see them telling their kids to say rude things to you and about you while you're working, and you don't get that at CabaRestle. You get nothing but queer celebration and queer joy, and it's infectious.
It's wild. Yeah, it's so crazy. You get there, you don't even know what to do. Yeah, I mean, so I'll say for Worcester, just to kind of let everyone know, there's a really famous drag show that's been going on for probably 4 years, called Harley's Funhouse. It's hosted by Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is going to be doing the show along with Tina Tequila. So I think they're called Fat C, but the C stands for something, and I'm not sure if they have you say it or not. So I'm not exactly sure.
I can say that word. I can say it. I don't think you're allowed to.
I'll tell you the story in a minute once I go over the people, so I don't forget. But it's really funny. So we're gonna have Fat C, where Mally Fishnet, who's amazing. Buster Pants is a drag king who does live rap. Live hip hop. This is the first show we've ever done that we're gonna have 3 burlesque performers. Because people have been saying we need more burlesque, and I'm I am literally anything the fans ask me to do, I'm gonna do. So we're gonna
I can do a striptease in the match. I used to be a drag queen. Question mark. Maybe you can do a little number for us as well. Who knows?
I haven't been a stripper since I was in my 20s, dear. So
okay.
But
dust anyway, it off.
Well, if you're broke living in an area that has drive-by shootings, you're I need to get a better apartment immediately, whatever that takes.
That's me and Troy. I get that. Yeah.
Whatever that
takes.
Life. Yeah. So we have Tireless Circle, Civil Disobedience, and Pearl Buttons. The band is the Agonizers, who's one of the best ska bands in the area by far.
This is on February 28th, correct?
This is February 28th. Yeah. So this is we're basically doing shows pretty much the end of every month. But there's a few more we're gonna have kind of interspersed between. There's a couple kind of sponsored shows or weird shows, but for matches, we're gonna have some killer matches. CPA versus BMT is going to be on the show. Angelo Carter's wrestling Trigger the OG. Ariel is going to be wrestling Isana. We're going to have alternative Anthony Green is going to be wrestling Mike Skyros on the show.
That would be a wrestling banger.
It's it's going to be like a legit match on the show. It's like crazy. We're going to have Uncut Gems, which is Nick Diamond and Luis Leon, and they're going to be wrestling this tag team out of Ohio called the Creeps.
The Creeps.
Yeah.
Irvin.
They're not around here very often. I think that they're awesome. So hell yeah, bring them in.
Sweet people.
It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a killer show. And Daisy Brooks is on the show as well. They're on every show. They're like our mascot, Daisy Brooks. She's on all the shows, for sure. And our crowd loves Isana and Uncut Gems, Something Fierce. So they're
you gotta start making. This is a pitch. You gotta start making Taylor OneShot more of a feature on these shows.
I mean, I have thoughts. I have a couple shows that I'll be telling you about. The story that's really funny is, like I said, I'm a terrible businessman. I want to make all my shows free. I just want people to come to the shows because it's such a cool environment. And I don't think that money should be a barrier to entry, especially for an environment where queer people are coming, especially now with the economy the way it is. Like, I just, we need safe spaces and we need them to be available to everyone, not just the rich white queers, We're not a drag brunch. We're a punk queer event.
I'm not throwing shots at that one.
Yeah, nothing wrong with drag brunches. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but it feels an awful lot to me like it's like queer folks on display. Like we're, performing for people. But anyway, so I'm trying to work with the Providence Tourism Board to set up a free monthly show in Providence. And the funny story of that is, I'm trying to come up with names for, like the project. Like, what do you call it? It's, like Punks in Providence, that kind of stuff. Monthly, CabaRestle monthly show, CabaRestle Chaos. I came up with this idea. There used to be a punk venue called the Mud Room in New York City. So I came up with this idea of calling it was called Mud, MUDD. And I was like, it'd be funny is if I called this the Outlaw Mud Show series, but like MUDD. And then it was just like trying to come up with ideas. And they suggested we're called the, Providence is a creative capital. And I was like, oh my God, what if we just called it like Getting Cunty in the Creative Capital? I was like, That's it. I'm gonna put that on the application and see what happens. So if I get denied, that's why. That's because that was my suggestion for the show series.
Totally.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, we have crossed so many bridges. We have told so many stories. We have learned about Tim's wrestling, the journey, the origin. We're not at the conclusion yet. There's still time, but we've also transitioned into Tim as the promoter. We talked a lot about CabaRestle. We high-fived and patted each other and hugged and cried over Transgender Takeover, and we definitely hyped up that show as well as what you have coming up on the 28th of February in Worcester. I'm going to be in a steel cage that day in Beverly, Massachusetts, unfortunately. My opponent.
Yeah, I mean, that's a cool.
If I still have the transgender championship, I could lose.
I have faith. I have faith that you're gonna hold on to it. That's what I think.
Facing Vivian Cross.
Oh, I mean, Vivian's a tough competitor. I believe they might be going for a CabaRestle championship. Maybe
she's gonna try to defend at Caba, and I have to deny her. But I'm gonna give that bitch. I'm gonna give her a welcoming party. Is all I'm gonna say. But
I hope so.
Hell yeah, we've shot in. This is the longest Wrestling with Pride with Taylor OneShot podcast that we've done so far. I don't know exactly how, because we've done a different format than normal. I don't exactly know how to end this other than I'm gonna go with this one. What is something that you're grateful for in this experience? Something that we kind of already covered that, right? Like, you're just everything. Like, what is something let's switch it. Let's pivot, because I'm bad at endings. I'm a terrible writer. I'm a Game of Thrones right now. But
Okay.
let's pivot
God.
to
Everyone gets killed in the background. It's terrible.
exactly. There's teddy bears flying and dying and stuff and falling out behind me as we speak. Nobody knows where the dragons are. Who knows? But let's pivot to a different question. What is a fun fact about Tim or Tim Kilgore that people don't know and that you might not have shared?
Oh God, that people don't know. That's really difficult.
Right? You're an open book.
It's not that I'm an open book. I just don't know how to shut up.
Same. Which is why we've gone so long.
Yeah. It's the oh God, let's see. I can say, my dream. I do theater, which some people have seen. I've done. I don't want to say like I'm not on Broadway. That's just a gimmick. I haven't actually been on Broadway. But I do community theater, and I've done like Horton and Seussical and stuff. But my dream role, the one that I would really love to do, is Hedwig and the Angry Inch. So I'd love to play Hedwig and Hedwig and the Angry Inch. That's probably my favorite. Favorite band's Bad Religion. If that's
love it.
This is showing my age, right? It's like, of course, the old punk likes Bad Religion, right? Shocker.
Mine would be Dying Breed, but nobody would know who that is.
Oh,
it's Troycore.
You'd mentioned you're into like hardcore music, so like that there was a big Rhode Island scene back when I was in high school, because it was like there was Boston hardcore and New York hardcore who were just like duking it out, and like Providence was just stuck in the middle. So there was like they weren't necessarily hardcore, but so Kilgore, where I got my last name, there was a band called Kilgore Smudge who later became Kilgore. You can hear them on the ECW soundtrack. They played Rob Van Dam's theme song. But they have a album called Blue Collar Solitude, came out when I was in high school, that I still love. There's a band called Times Expired, one of the first like hip hop influenced hardcore bands, came out of Providence.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm like Cave In is another one that's like a really good band from they were from Westerly, but played in Providence. So yeah, there's a lot of influence. We're very musical crew here.
We're hardcore kids. This is the second segment of the show. This is naming old hardcore bands that Taylor and Tim pop for. We got Stigmata, we got Wartime Manor, we got Crown of Thorns, we got Bulldoze. I mean, come on. I'm into death metal too. We got Dying Fetus, Skinless, Cannibal Corpse, Dehumanized. Let's put these bands over. I fucking love it.
Oh my God. Yeah, I saw Cannibal Corpse when I was in high school. It was insane. I didn't know what to do. And Deicide. I saw Deicide when I was a kid too. Yeah, that was another one. I snuck out of the house. Snuck out of the house. I was second floor. We had like a covered porch, and it was like my window is here, so like I could slide down and like run out and meet someone and then come back. And my mom was a school bus driver, so she had to be up at like 5 a.m. We'd go to bed at 9 p.m. The shows don't start till 10. Get home at 2 or whatever. So sneak out, go check out some shows, come back. I'm the worst religious cult member as well, where I was just sneaking out to check out hardcore.
We're going to see Deicide. Deicide, the death of gods.
Yeah,
or the killing thereof.
I'm like going that Sunday to give a talk somewhere, like an hour-long sermon or something like that. And the night before, I'm still like bags under my eyes because I saw Deicide. I can't hear anything.
One of my wildest hardcore show stories is I was at a place, it's infamous now. It's called the Hudson Duster. I was going there since I was like 12 and 13. It was a 25 to life Dead and Dying show, I believe, and a fellow was died / maybe was killed. I had a history test the next day. I didn't do well.
Can't focus. Yeah, I lost my shoe in a pit once. Like that was the weirdest thing. Whereas like trying to explain, your mom's like, "Where's the shoes you were wearing? Yeah, those are different shoes anywhere." Yeah, I don't know what happened. How does someone lose a shoe? This was before Austin Powers, so I couldn't say like I threw it at someone.
Yeah.
So
watch for the shoe, little Tony Storm.
Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
Yeah.
But that's my fact.
I don't know how to end this, and we don't know how to stop talking, so we're going to keep talking but we're going to use this as the definitive stopping point, and I'm going to force the end by saying, I'm Taylor OneShot. This has been episode 3 of Wrestling with Pride with our guest,
Tim Kilgore. Super nice to talk to everyone.
Hell yeah. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Take care. Have a great day, and goodbye.